This is Average Joe Finances Podcast, episode 20.
Gratitude is more powerful than sleep when affecting anxiety and depression. It's more powerful. So you could actually alleviate your mind and relax it. Because sometimes it's so hard to go to sleep because we're thinking, we're worrying, we're comparing. But if you just slow down and focus and realize all the blessings we have, it puts you at ease and it just lets you relax and go to bed. Practicing gratitude to me is the most important thing I think there is out there.
So in today's episode, I interviewed Jay Sooknanan, and we talk about a various array of topics, one of them being his life coaching and how a life coach actually helped change his life. And, you know, it all started with just a simple question, and we'll get into all that. We're also going to discuss his financial independence journey. So tune in, check it out. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a blast. Let's go.
Welcome to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. Are you trying to get out of debt, invest, or just not sure where to start? Then this is the place for you. We discuss different ways to get out of the rat race and build your wealth. Join us on this wild ride to financial freedom.
The Average Joe Finances Podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Do not use this for any real estate or investment making decisions. All views by myself or our guests are solely our own and do not reflect the opinion of our employers. How you doing? This is Mike Cav with Average Joe Finances, and today I have my guest Jay Sooknanan. He is a health and wellness guru and the author of Abundance, A Journey from Anxiety and Depression, as well as the author of the journal that accompanies it called Your Path to Abundance. He's also a business owner. So Jay supports people in communities to live abundantly through well-rounded finances, health practices, and the practices of well-being. Jay, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for serving the way you do here and outside. I know you said you're part of the Navy, and we really appreciate your services.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And so I'd like to start off the show always by asking a little bit about your background. So if you could tell me a little bit about yourself and just share with us your story.
Sure. So born and raised in Brooklyn, Bensonhurst. My parents split up when I was born. Good guy, just went down the wrong path. Learned a lot from that. Was headed towards being a doctor because I always wanted to help my family and help the world at the same time. 15 to 17, I went down the wrong paths myself. Woke up, 18, graduated high school on time, went to college. There, I was going for hospitality management because that's what they put me in high school. And the program was closed. And this lady said, Jay, why don't you challenge yourself? You don't need a degree to become a hotel manager. So I said, okay. So the only regents I failed in high school was chemistry. So I ended up taking that as my major. And on that path, like my life shifted because I took that challenge. And I would say challenging yourself is the best thing you could do. So when I went on that challenge, I actually learned about the gift of meditation. This lady named Sherry, she gave me a book by Dr. Wayne Dyer called Getting in the Gap. And so it was an amazing book. I started meditating since. And she also said, Jay, you know, you're taking on a class to be a doctor. And that was my childhood dream, but 15 to 17, that kind of got fuzzy, and I didn't think I was going down that path. So I got into pharmacy. I was going towards that part. And when she told me that, this light filled up inside of me. And it showed me if you keep your shoulders back and your head high, you could achieve whatever you want in life. So I graduated with the highest honors in the department, went on to my next college, studied biochemistry. And again, I had another shift in my life. My friend, he had become a life coach. And he said, hey, Jay, can I try this on you? And I said, okay. And he asked me, what's your purpose in life? And no one ever asked me that. And I'm like, at 21, I've never been asked this question. It's always, what do you want to do? Right? And I'm like, wow, that's such a great question. I answered it, but I kept it moving because I was so focused on what do I want to do. And became an EMT for hands-on experience to become a doctor. I already had volunteered over 500 hours. And I was working with monks around this time. And I realized I didn't want to do what doctors had to do because I shadowed them. And they tell me, Jay, like it came down to them telling me, This is not where the money is at. And I never even asked them about money. They told me that. But I also saw how they serve people, and they were stuck by money because they have malpractice insurance. They have to run around, see all these patients. They weren't able to serve people. And I'm on the ambulance and I'm transporting this lady with 180 systolic pressure because she's all over the place, so much anxiety. And I held her hands and I relaxed her and I told her how to breathe. And within 2 to 5 minutes, we made it to the hospital. She was at 120 systolic. So I was like, wow, I'm healing people right here. So I became a nutritional therapist, personal trainer, got into public speaking through Toastmasters. And I realized, you know what? I don't really want to be a doctor. I wanted to focus on my purpose. And so I was going to go through real estate to actually figure out how to do that. That transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur is a challenge. Getting up to make up phone calls when you're not told to is different, but that wasn't even the holdup. When I was 4.5, again, my mom was a single mom and I came from Trinidad. I was born here, but I moved to Trinidad and came back up. And back home we're wealthy. So when I came up here, I see an apartment. I'm like, oh, my mom's struggling. She was doing good. She was making things meet, but I didn't want to be a burden on her. So I learned not to ask for anything. So in that transition from learning not to ask for anything to now being in real estate where I'm asking to serve people, I felt awkward. Always had a good conversation on the phone call, but felt really awkward. So then this thought came into my head for 2 weeks, only 2 weeks of my life. I ended up stop listening to motivation, stop meditating, and stop working out. I worked overnight as an EMT, and then I would come home and try to numb my mind with Instagram, Facebook, Tinder. Even at the job, I was doing that. And at home, even pornography, right? To be honest. And this voice came into my head. And I don't think it was a malicious voice. It was more like a wake up voice, but it sounded like scary. And it said, Jay, if life is so bad, why don't you open the window and jump out? I was like, what? And I live a good life. So I'm thinking, like, how is this like coming into my head? And it said, yeah, Jay, if life is so bad, open the window and jump out. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I relaxed. I got up. I shook it off. But I was like, wow, imagine how much people actually face this. But I knew all the tools. So I got into self-development, went down that path, decided it was time to find a girl. 9 months later, I went through a lot of self-development. First 3 weeks, I closed the deal, bought my first car. And this 9-month journey, in the last 3 months of that, I was in this leadership program. That's where I wrote the book. That's where I found my first lady. A whole bunch of things. That's where I got into business partnership with this guy named Joshua, which helps me in financial independence. And he said, Jay, if you want to change the world, you got to change yourself. And the reason he said, if I want to change the world, because my purpose that I had written down was actually to join the world and work to end suffering, making sure everyone has food, water, shelter, clothing, furthering that to holistic healthcare and education, right? I want to inspire the young and those who have given up on themselves. And I was on that path doing certain things to get there. But I realized charity starts at home and I got to make sure I'm happy. And that's when he showed me a business opportunity. I was already enrolled for my master's in public health to try to figure out how to actually, go create this world peace project. But I realized I didn't have to become a puppet to society. If I had the income and had the connections, I would be able to create what I wanted. And that's kind of the path I'm on. So he said, Jay, if you want to grow something big, if you want to become wealthy, you got to grow yourself. I was already working with the monks, teaching in the city. So I was spiritually developed, and now I'm personally developing. In 3 months, I became a life coach. That's supposed to take 3 to 6 months. I did it in 1 month. Had 20 plus speaking engagements, published that first book, opened up my own first small business for speaking in schools and organizations, threw a retreat in DR, helped my wife, well, she was my girlfriend at the time, publish a vegan cookbook. And that was 3 months. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I was like, imagine what the business would do, because I wasn't even doing the business he was teaching me. And on that journey, I realized the person I was becoming. And to me, that was the most important thing. So I'm on the journey of really developing myself and serving others and helping elevate them so we all grow in wealth and just prosperity in all areas of our life. Family, finances, friends, fitness, all the good things in life. Fun. That's
Yeah,
my story.
that's awesome. That's a lot of F's in there: family, fun, finance, fitness. That's like the four F's. That's what you can call that right there, the four F's. I like to take notes while we're talking, and you mentioned this twice, so I want to go back and talk about it. So what were you doing working with monks? What was that all about?
So actually, when I was joining my fraternity, and it was my last semester in college, um, I was into meditation for 2 years already, and I wanted to teach my fraternity because it was like a gentleman's fraternity. We didn't haze each other. We did like really good stuff, and I wanted to teach him meditation. So the week before, this guy says, "Jay, why don't you find a professional to teach it?" So I called a few people, and the third person I called was a monk, and it was a 60-year-old lady, and she showed up, and we were having a conversation. I was supposed to bring her upstairs a certain way, and she couldn't enter that way, so I had to go another way with her. And I said, "This is technically okay, but technically not." And she was like, she says, "I'm game." And I'm like, this 60-year-old woman is telling me she's game. So we just stayed connected from there because I felt like a real connection with her just from her saying that. Taught Hunter a few times. Then she would call me to her practices. I went to her monastery. And then every other Tuesday, she had me teaching it in the city for a year and plus. And just that has been my experience, but I was always connected with her, and she says she has monks watching over me, and there's people already watching over me. So once I got onto this path, she kind of let me go to go finish and go do what I have to do.
Nice. So she had you teaching, was it like meditation classes?
I was teaching meditation, and I was also teaching the things from this book. So this book actually came out from what I was teaching in that class. I was teaching them how to practice gratitude, how to chant, how to figure out their routines, how to find their purpose in life, right? So from that class, this book like kind of originated as well, and the life coaching.
Nice. That's a lot of value that you got just from being able to build that relationship. And it was just a couple phone calls. You said on that third phone call, you found her, and you were able to build this relationship. And look at how much value that added to your life, man. That's awesome. So your whole thing about going into the being a life coach started with your friend, right? So you had a friend who had become a life coach, and he wanted to practice on you, right? And by practice, he asked you a very, deep but practical question, right? And that is, what is your purpose in life? I feel like that's a question a lot of people need to really ask themselves, like, what is our purpose? And what you were able to do with that, just by hearing a simple question, it sounds to me like that was a turning point for you. Like you got yourself up, and you moved on this new mission in life. So can you speak a little bit more about how that impacted you when your friend was doing, when you were helping him out, right? You guys were helping each other out. But when you started that life coaching process with him, how did that change your life?
So he just asked me a series of questions that he was going through in this program, but it just opened up my mind. At that point, I wrote down the answer, but it changed my life forever. But at that moment, it didn't, right then and there. But it expanded my mind, and it showed me the potential we really do have. Because he asked me a simple question, and I talk about it in chapter 3, how to find your purpose. So he said, if you had everything in the world, right? Everything, all the resources, what would you do? And what would you do to serve the world? What would you do for your friends and your family? What gifts and talents would you share? And that just changed my life forever. And people got to realize, they think, oh, I don't know my purpose in life. It's not about, if you just need direction. And just writing something down, you could always change it. But if you don't have direction, you're not moving forward. And everything else will take control of you, and you'll always be indecisive. And not being indecisive is like moving backwards. It's not just not making a decision. So just having direction is so awesome.
It's funny how, just even if it comes from a friend or even a complete stranger, how just a couple questions can really just change your perspective on how you look at things, right? So you learn these different techniques, right? And these different methods, of breathing and meditating, and, how to calm yourself. And I really like the story that you shared with, you being in the back of the ambulance as an EMT and helping that woman who's, was really, it sounds like she was having a serious panic attack with how high her anxiety was, and just teaching her how to breathe properly. I mean, by the time you got to the hospital, not too long later, she was almost ready to just go back home. So that's, I get myself sometimes, I have a very stressful job, right. In the Navy, most military folks can relate to this, how sometimes, you put your job before yourself and family and everything. Like, there's a lot of times where you're just so focused on the mission and trying to get what you need to get done that you forget about yourself. And a lot of times, I've actually forced myself into panic attacks and not even realize that. One of the biggest things that's helped me in life was when I finally learned, and it's funny, it's because we all breathe right now, right? I'm breathing right now while I'm talking to you. But when I learned how to breathe and calm myself down, when I started meditating, when I started practicing yoga, it's stuff like that has actually changed my life 100% in a positive direction. Being able to talk with someone else that really knows about this stuff, and I appreciate it. I really do. And especially somebody that practices what they preach. And, you know, one of the things you talked about, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, especially, young kids here in America. And that is, before you go into bed, you're laying down, you grab your phone and you're sitting there. I'm guilty of it too, right? But you grab your phone and you're just doing the swipe of death. You're just scrolling through social media, through Instagram, through Facebook, through YouTube. I am terrible about watching YouTubes before bed. I like to watch a couple like motivational videos before I go to bed. I don't know why, but I do. But one of the things I do afterwards is I will close my eyes, I'll meditate, I'll calm myself, I'll breathe. And I always like to close my night with doing an affirmation. Like, that for whatever reason, I feel like when I go to sleep, that affirmation is repeating itself over and over and over again. And when I get up in the morning, I say it again. And so that's one of the things that's been very helpful. But I feel like this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And can you share, I guess, what did you do to break the cycle from, I guess the swipe of doom, right? That's what I'm going to coin that term right now. Swiping before bed. It's the swipe of doom. Don't do it. But
That's
what did you do to break the cycle?
Hey, I'm not gonna say I'm human, man. I'm not different than anybody else. Sometimes I scroll before going to bed. I need a laugh, I need to relax. But what do I do? End off my night with is gratitude, and not just writing in my journal, because I write things in my journal before I go to sleep too, like my goals for the next day, 5 things I'm grateful for. I was doing it, and then I heard Oprah say it, and I was like, "Wow, I'm already aligned with Oprah, and she's already a billionaire, so that's cool." So what I do, so I do those things as well, and I read and all that stuff. But what I like to do really is have my beads. I have these beads, 108 beads, and I like to say things I'm thankful for on each one. And they say gratitude is more powerful than sleep when affecting anxiety and depression. It's more powerful. So you could actually alleviate your mind and relax it. Because sometimes it's so hard to go to sleep because we're thinking, we're worrying, we're comparing. But if you just slow down and focus and realize all the blessings we have, it puts you at ease and it just lets you relax and go to bed. Practicing gratitude to me is the most important thing I think there is out there. More than meditation, I think meditation is vital. But if I had to compare it, I think focusing on your blessings and taking time to count it is the most important thing.
So you do 108 beads. So 108 things that you're grateful for.
Yeah, it's easy.
Ooh, I don't know. I've got a lot of things that I'm grateful for, but I feel like I'd be up all night trying to figure that out. So I might have to sit down and study this a little bit and figure out, at least come up with 100 things. I like that. That's really cool.
Even if you repeat stuff, just saying "I am thankful for" is
yeah,
getting your mind to think on something positive.
absolutely. And it's helping you change your mindset, right? And that's something I talk about on my channel a lot too, is mindset. But yeah, if you're saying at least over 100 times before you go to bed something you're grateful for, I mean, you're going to bed happy, right? Because you're thinking about all the things that you are grateful for and the things that you have in your life that that you're blessed with. So I'm learning something new here. I like it. Let's take a quick break from today's episode to hear from our show sponsors. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mike Cav from Average Joe Finances. Just want to talk to you today about Prep Agent. If you're interested in learning how to become a real estate agent and being able to pass the test on your first try, check out Prep Agent at www.prepagent.com. Use code AVGJOE, that's Average Joe, AVGJOE, to get an additional 20% off. Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Mike Cav with Average Joe Finances. You know, we're living in some pretty tough times right now, and if you don't have life insurance, you should probably get it. You need to protect yourself, protect your family, and protect what you own. Check out the link below in the show notes or in the video description.
You're listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. Whether it's single or multifamily real estate, the stock market, or side hustles, we discuss it all. Strap in and enjoy the ride.
At one point, you know, even on your journey here, you said, you know, you encountered a time where you had that voice in your head. There's a lot of people that struggle with suicidal ideations, right? And, you know, you were already on this personal journey of changing your mindset and changing your life. I wouldn't say that it was maybe easier for you, but you had a set way to attack that kind of thought. So what would you recommend to somebody who's in a dark place right now, if they're struggling right now? I mean, there's a lot of, especially in the realm that we're talking about here with finances, there's a lot of people, you know, struggling and in a very dark place. And they sometimes think of the, you know, the ultimate way out, right? And what would you say to somebody like that?
So there's a whole bunch of little things you can do. You could find good music to listen to. You could take a walk, exercise, set little goals. Some people like to set too big of a goals and set themselves up for failure. Set some little goals.
Yes. I just want to point that out. I love that because that's one of the things I talk about when people build budgets and they're trying to get out of debt. A lot of times you try to attack all these things, but a lot of times if you just do small little things, you get the what I call these small wins, like you pay off like one of these credit cards, or each time you should celebrate, because it really is a celebration. It's you accomplishing your goals. It's just another milestone to getting there. So I wanted to jump in on that because a lot of times little things can really make a difference.
For sure, I agree. And remembering your wins, writing a story to your younger self. Like, think about it. What advice would you give to your younger self? And when you read that story, you could use it right now in your life. Taking your eyes off yourself. I think sometimes we don't realize we're like, oh, I'm going through all of this. Yeah, you are. And it may be challenging, it may be difficult. But if you focus on that, whatever you focus on expands. So if you focus on that victim mentality, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And it's hurtful and it's hard, and we have to face it. Like, why do we get dealt with these cards? But I feel it's because you are that strong and you could overcome it. And when you overcome that challenge, you'll serve so many other people. But just take your eyes off yourself and go do something for somebody else. Like, who could I go help? But sometimes you're so overwhelmed with those thoughts that you can't even think that far. So put on some good music, take a walk, count your blessings, count your accomplishments in life. Focus on little things you could control. And to me, like little to-do lists. I write a list out of what you could do in the book. Yeah, those are some little things.
No, that's great. And near the end of the show, I definitely want to, talk about the book and where people can get a copy of it. So we'll definitely get to that because it sounds like it's got some good life-changing information in it. So that's good stuff. Going back to the whole, 108 beads that you were talking about, right? Just the different things you're grateful for. I think if you can try to just get past the negativity that you're going through at that time when you're having those thoughts and just start thinking about the things in your life that's good, that you're grateful for, it can help change that thought process, right? And help get you out of that dark place. So definitely think that's a great perspective. So I want to talk a little bit about your financial freedom journey and what you're doing right now. So before we started recording, you and I were chatting a bit, and you were saying that you want to push hard and you want to be financially independent by 30. So can you share with us what you're doing? I know you have 2 businesses and everything, and you're also an author. So what kind of goals are you crushing to I guess retire or be financially free by 30?
Awesome. Good question. Thank you. And thank you for your input on the gratitude. You have a great mindset. So what I'm doing to push through is so sometimes we feel we're doing the work, but we're not. And the only reason I'm not already retired is because I wasn't tracking my business. And when I started tracking it, I realized, hey, I'm doing half the work or less sometimes.
Hmm.
And when I started doing that, I'm seeing the results come. And I feel God in the universe rewards faith and work, right? So you got to have faith and you got to do the work. I have a financial independence business. It's an online business. We teach people how to retire young through creating passive income. And it's a debt free cash flow, right? So you don't have to go in debt to create it. Also, with the books and stuff like that, those are also going to aid in that freedom. But I don't want to focus on that freedom. That's just going to be plus money. That's going to be money to bless more people and buy things that I want. But I really want the financial independence, the online business, to actually be able to fund my life and be able to be an example to the people on my team, because I work with people, to show them that you could just use this and become free. I'm doing those other things that I'm doing. I had these dreams before I started the business, and also I want to create awareness so I could work on world peace. So that's actually why I'm doing that other part as well. But just hitting my goals in the financial independence business, serving people and growing myself every day to become a better leader and teach people what I do so I can help them do the same thing. And that's pretty much what I'm doing.
You know, one of the things that you're talking about that I find just really awesome and fascinating is, and this is separate from the financial independence piece, but your journey, your mission is so much more than that, right? So you want to go on and make world change. And this goes back to something that that was said to you, right? I believe it was, and I wrote this down, is you were told, you know, if you want to change the world, you need to change yourself. I think this kind of goes back to what your mentality is, whether it's, you know, your goals, financial independence, or it's to change the world, right? You have to change your mindset and just your whole thought process towards that goal. And you need to have goals. You can't just jump into something and say, hey, I'm going to do this today, and this, you know, this is going to be my next career or whatever, and not have any goals in mind, because otherwise you're just going to be in that same rat race you've been in your whole life and not making any dent or a difference in your life or other people's lives. You know, I think you're definitely doing the right thing right now. So I wanted to ask you, besides the life coaching, you know, what's your financial independence business that you have on your website? How long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing the online business you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been in it for 2, 3 years. Been progressing through it. I didn't really start investing till the first year in.
Okay.
After being in it. And then that's when the work really starts, because you have no conviction if you don't invest, right? If you
Right.
don't follow through, if you're not being a man of your word, and you can't tell somebody and be a hypocrite. If you're going to tell them to do something, you better be able to do it. So 2 years, and I've just started hitting my numbers and the tracking and the work ethic I should have been doing in the last 4 months.
Okay.
So, and I already see those things coming to fruition. So
Okay. So you're setting yourself on the path. So how old are you now?
I'm 29.
29. Oh man. So you got a year. Let's go.
I got less. I got 8 months, 7 months, man.
Let's go. So what are you doing? What are you doing to get there? Like, how are you going to be financially independent in 8 months?
The online vehicle. So on that, we help people grow their own online business, and that's pretty much the vehicle. But it's so much more than people think. It's content. What do you do? All these things. It's more powerful than that. It's an organization. It's the mindset. Like you said, you know, it's a mindset shift. And people, why they don't become successful is because they don't follow through. They think they don't have to do the work, just being around. Like, people think if you sign up to the gym, you're gonna have abs. You know,
I
if
can
you
100% tell you that's not true.
exactly, it's scientifically proven, right? But you can visualize it, and eventually maybe.
Abs
But
are made in the kitchen. That's for sure.
for sure, I'm actually on a vegan diet due to my wife. So
Nice, man. I'm plant-based too.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, you have.
I sometimes eat eggs and dairy. So I'm vegetarian. I'm not vegan, but I mostly eat vegan. So no, it's good
Yeah,
stuff, man. So you know, you're tracking with your goals, and that's the most important thing is, you know, you set these goals for yourself. As long as you keep hitting your milestones and getting to where you need to get, like you're doing it. So that's good stuff.
I would say I also have mentorship. I have people looking
Yes.
at and guiding me, and coaches coaching me. So Like you said, we were talking. I don't know if we said it before the thing, but we were talking about having your tribe, having your people you work with. I have a
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, I
Never
think
go
that
abroad.
was before we were recording. I said, "Oh man, we're talking about too much good stuff. Let me hit the record button. Let's go." Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's 100% important is having your tribe, man. I talk about that with some of in some of my other episodes, right? But one of the big things I have out here is, other real estate investors. We have monthly Zoom meetings and we have get-togethers and we just talk about to each other like what we're doing. When you have some people in the same, that has the same mentality and the same goals as you, it may not be 100% the same, right? You might want to make more money than them one day, or they might be happy with where they're at, right? The ultimate thing is that you guys have similar goals. So when you talk about this stuff, especially when it's something you're passionate about, like I get very passionate when I talk about real estate and investing and just different ways to get yourself financially free. Being able to have those conversations with like-minded people, your tribe can really just change the whole dynamic on what you're doing, because you start to hold yourself more accountable, because you don't
Mm,
want to show up to these meetings and be having these conversations with people if you're not taking action. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
agree.
having that tribe is 100% important, man. Definitely, definitely is. So you have a couple different things going on, right? So you write books, you've got your online business, you're a life coach. Out of those three things, what do you enjoy the most?
Enjoy the most.
Yeah.
I I'll be honest. I enjoy everything. I like the online business just because I want the freedom.
Hmm.
Because I can make money, but I want time and money, right? So to me, that's the most important thing. So I could actually focus on the world peace and build my family, enjoy my life. It comes with a lot of perks as well. So that's actually what I'm focused on the most. The reason I even chose that path was because it challenged me the most internally. I usually pick the path of most resistance. I
Okay.
like the path of that's gonna refine me the most. Like my fraternity refined me, college refined me. Different personal development groups I joined refine me, and this has been the most refining system I've ever been in. So
Okay.
that's why I do it.
Yeah, so I like that. You said you take the path of most resistance. That's good. A lot of people like to choose that easy path, the path of least resistance, which usually those people wind up working until they're 60 or even later before they can retire, because they get stuck in that 9 to 5, and they think they have a good job and the job may be great and they may love what they do. And if you love what you do, then hey, keep doing it, because if you love your job, then I don't even really consider that work, right? But a lot of people get stuck in these 9 to 5 jobs, and they, again, it's the rat race, right? You're just competing every day and every day and every day just to get that piece of cheese. By the time you bring it home, it's already moldy. Going outside of that, finding different avenues to build wealth and just to be financially free I mean, that's just the way to go if you want to be financially independent and retire early. Or just for me, I can retire at 38 in 2 years, right? But I'm not going to call myself retired. I'm going to call myself financially independent, because my passive income will be covering all of my expenses. You know what I'm saying?
I
But,
agree.
but I don't want to stop. I want to keep going. When I retire from the Navy, my focus is going to be on, being a real estate agent, and also really digging deep into my blog and my podcast like I'm doing now, but like really going in hard on it. Being able to provide value to other people and help change other people's lives is more important to me than the actual money side of it, right? So yeah, I'll make some decent money as a real estate agent, right? But at the same time, my focus is going to be really on taking care of the clients, because I'm not going to be the guy that has to chase the commission. Like I'm already financially independent. Like I'm actually here to serve you. So like let's go. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm excited about mostly, is the fact that, when I challenge myself, I'm challenging myself to serve, and just continue serving and helping the community and helping other people. That's, you can kind of see where my passion is, right? My passion is to serve, but it's just stuff like this in life is just so exciting for me, and being able to speak to other people, like-minded people, like you. It really gets like the juices flowing, and it gets me going. You can, I'm getting excited. You can tell this is what it's all
I'm getting
about. You know what I'm
excited
saying?
off your excitement, man. I'm
Yeah. And,
getting
and it's,
excited.
and it's late where you're at. And I appreciate, this is my first, my first actual interview that I've done during the week, because most people schedule with me on the weekends because I'm in Hawaii. So that time difference really makes it tough. So I really appreciate you staying up a little later to hang out with me tonight and have this conversation. So
It's a blessing, man. It's always nice to talk about things we're working on, and it really just puts it out in the air and let it come
yeah,
to fruition. It's
yeah,
awesome what you're doing. Your
100%.
podcast is amazing. The topics you're talking about, I appreciate what you're doing. And I didn't even
Thanks,
catch
man.
what you do in the Navy, but I'm sure everybody's grateful because we wouldn't have this freedom to even have this conversation if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. So, yeah, it's good stuff. I want to keep this going while the momentum's going, and I want to know. So, what kind of asset classes do you currently invest in right now as you're building up your wealth and your financial independence?
So, if you know the cash flow quadrants as employees, self-employed investors, and big business,
You
I'm
read
working
Rich
on
Dad Poor Dad.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And a few of his books. So I'm working on creating the big business, the
Okay.
online version, and so it's low risk. It's just really time and effort. So that's what I'm focusing on. That's one of my main assets. I do have the books. I do have speaking engagements where I get paid for, but my main my focus is that online business. I'm not saying I
Right.
don't make money other places, right? I still got to take care of my 9 to 5, my responsibilities, right? Because that's what I consider 9 to 5, your responsibilities. Until you could actually create that financial independence, working towards that financial freedom. Like you said, when you become financially independent, it all comes from service now. This guy, he said something, I forget where it came from, but he said, first you got to be selfish, right? And you got to take care of yourself, right? Then self-full. You're so full that now you can become selfless and you just give,
Mm.
give, and that's where your life becomes. I'm actually coming out with my second book. I'm going to start work. I've already written it since 8 months ago. So I'm going to put it out. I'm going to start working on putting it out tomorrow. I'm going to talk to the publisher and get that
Nice.
down.
Yeah, good deal. What's that? Well, maybe you can't say yet, but what's that book going to be called, or what's it about?
I'm not sure the title because I don't care for the title I chose.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
but
so what's the context? What's it about?
it's my life and the life lessons I've learned because
Nice.
I've been on both sides of the tracks. I've been the hoodlum. I've seen both sides. I've been a really good kid growing up. Then I went to the hoodlum side, and I'm not saying it's bad. Like to me, I'm so appreciative that I went there because I was so smart that I would have judged people. Because how could I do it and you can't? And
Yeah.
it's not like that. Is that everybody needs love. Everybody goes through their own journey, and you have to respect people, no matter what. Just love people and respect people, and the whole world would be different just off of that. So I'm happy I went through that. So I'm gonna show all the lessons I learned in each part, lessons I'm learning through growing both my businesses, and then I'm gonna show how we could actually create world peace. And it's not even that hard. It's simple. And when I say world peace, I don't know, like when just certain systems you implement that eventually through time, a lot of the hatred, a lot of the compassion will build, and also the healing of the planet. I want to heal people internally and externally. I want to heal the planet, allow it to breathe again, allow it to rejuvenate, and also for people that have that same effect. So I have little systems that I plan on putting out there to have that happen.
That's good, man. Well, I'm excited for when that other book comes out, and I need to grab a copy of your first book. So it sounds like there's some great lessons in there, and that's great stuff, man. And I definitely want to share that with my listeners. So one of the things I'd like to ask you is, where can people find more information about you? Do you have a website or social media you can share with our listeners?
For sure. So, well, my name is Jay Sooknanan. So Jay space Sooknanan, Sooknanan. If you Google me, you'll find my book. If you Amazon it, you'll find it. Barnes and Nobles. So you could do that. Also, you could hit me up on my website or my Facebook. My website is Body, BODY, Mind, MIND, and AND, Soul, SOUL, BMS, like Body, Mind, Soul.com. So Body, Mind, and Soul, BMS.com. I could also give up my phone number if that I have a business number. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
It's 516-453-5199. Also on Facebook, my name, Jay Sooknanan. It's the one that says motivational speaker. And it's facebook.com/jay.sooknanan.3. And Instagram is jfaith512, FAITH. So jfaith512. And that's pretty much all my handles right there.
All right, good stuff. So we will definitely have all the links to your websites and social media profiles in the show notes. And really excited to get this out there and share this with our listeners. I really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me tonight.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for even opening up this door. I'm excited to be here. And again, I said it in the email, and I said it here, you're changing the world just by spreading these messages. So I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast, your source for beating debt, saving money, and investing. Learn more at averagejoefinances.com.